He brutally beat his mother in the head, with a metal baseball bat to death. And why did he kill his mother? And who were his next victims? Let's look into the devastating case of a 16-year-old Japanese, who became a bloodthirsty killer. This is Yukio Yamaji, was born on August 21, 1983. He grew up in the city of Yamaguchi in Japan, and was an only child. He grew up in a poor household with domestic violence from his father. He described as a reserved character at school and had few friends. All of these were more or less affected by his father. In January 1995, his father died of cirrhosis due to alcoholism, when Yukio was only in elementary school, and his mother worked as a store clerk. The family was not very well off financially, so the death of his father hit both his mother and Yukio pretty hard. Yukio was also not a very good student. He often kept row to himself, rarely talked to other students, especially females, and was known to sometimes lash out violently. Once he even smashed a window at school. He was absent often, and after graduating junior high school, and he decided to not continue on to high school, after dropping out of school when he was just 16. At this point, Yukio got a job delivering newspapers around town. During the time, it is reported that Yamaji was seeing an older woman. He had met her at the toy store where he would often go, and they began being intimate. However, since Yamaji was only a teenager and she was in her 20s, she broke it off. But Yukio wanted to continue seeing her. During which, Yukio's mother grew suspicious of Yukio's relationship, and made a call to the girl he was seeing. And this enraged Yukio, and he decided to take out his rage on his mother. There was something very dark festering in his mind. That moment nobody knew something terrible had gone down here. At exactly 9 p.m., on July 29, 2000, he got into an argument with his mother. He started asking his mother about the call his mother made to the girl he was seeing, and his mother yelled at him to go away. This unfortunately led to the brutal death of his mother, when Yukio was just 16 years old. He took a metal baseball bat, and battered his mother to death. Yukio told investigators he took the bat and hit her in the head, face, and chest, also breaking some glass, in the apartment they shared in Yamaguchi, Japan. After he hit his mother, she was walking over the shards of glass trying to steady herself. Yukio kept on hitting her, and couldn't recall how many times or how long the attack lasted. His mother had multiple fractured ribs, and she was beaten so bad her face was indistinguishable. A few days after he killed his mother, he called and invited the girl he was seeing to his house for lunch. During lunch, he kept asking her if she could smell blood. The girl was found his mother's dead body, but she pretended to see nothing, which somehow she managed to escape from his own home. As soon as she got home, and around 1 a.m. on July 31st, she called the police. Yamaji was charged with murders. He turned himself into the police, and was transferred to the family court. This case was complete horrified, and could not believe that such brutality could be performed by another human being, tried in family court, and sentenced to juvenile detention. Cause he was still a minor, but Yukio was also too young to have the legal responsibilities of an adult, and this was his first offense. He had eventually confessed to killing his mother. He told the police, and the courts, that he decided to kill his mother, because she kept spending too much money, accumulated a hug amount of debt, and cause she called the girl he was seeing, and tried to end their relationship. Based on the circumstances of Yukio's life, including the death of his father, and the fact that they had struggled financially, the court decided that it would be possible to reform him, so he was sentenced to the juvenile detention school in Okayama. Here, Yamaji gained a number of qualifications, including those for welding and hazardous materials engineering. He also underwent a number of psychological tests, which indicated that he had a developmental disorder, which prevented him from forming lasting relationships. The juvenile law in Japan states that juveniles aged 16 or older are to be sent back to prosecutor's office, in cases where they have committed crimes that result in death. However, this law was only reinforced in April of 2001, 6 months after Yukio was sent to the juvenile detention school. But after just 3 years, he was found to be mentally repaired and was granted parole in 2003. Shortly before his release, he told his lawyer, Shingo Uchiyama, that he was sorry for killing his mother, adding that it could not be helped. Since both of Yukio's parents were now deceased, he was out on his own. Following Yukio's release, he visited his grandmother. She suggested he visit his mother's grave, to which he replied, "I won't go where my mother is," but he was still hoping to meet with the girl he was previously dating. But once released, he couldn't get in contact with her, and then, he moved to a different city, and found a job at pachinko parlor, which are gambling centers similar to slot machines. He would return to his hometown on holidays, to look for the girl, but could never find her. He was also reported as stealing coins from various pachinko parlors around town. He ended up becoming friends with some other thieves at the pachinko parlor, and would travel around Japan with them. One of his associates talked about their visit to Fukuoka to Hostess Club. Hostess clubs are where men go after work to drink and socialize, while beautiful women in fancy gowns pour drinks and sit with the men, hanging around with people who weren't really his friends, having no fixed permanent address, and still having trouble socializing with women. Yukio's frustration and urges continued to grow. The court would soon come to discover that they had made a grave mistake in releasing Yukio. Yukio ended up finding a place to live, in an area of Osaka in a condominium block. In that same condominium block, resided two sisters named Asuka and Chihiro Uehara. Although both of whom didn't know Yukio, he had become captivated by them, especially Asuka. On the 17th of November, 2005, a fire was reported at an apartment building in western Osaka Prefecture. Firefighters found the two sisters in the apartment and homicide investigation began. Suspicion soon fell onto Yamaji, who lived in the same apartment block. When police brought him in for questioning, he readily confessed. According to Yukio's confession, he targeted Asuka because she looked like the girl he used to date. He would sometimes follow her, and found out which unit she lived in. He then messed with her unit's power, and caused a power outage. On November 16th, Yukio tried to find out if there were any other people living in the apartment, besides the sisters, and broke into her unit. Yet no one was home. At around 2:30 AM on the 17th, Asuka came home from work. He ambushed her in the apartment. About 10 minutes later, then when Chihiro came home, he attacked her as well. They had both been and then stabbed in the chest and face with a butcher knife to death. After and murdering both sisters, he smoked a cigarette on the balcony, stole 5,000 yen, about $50, that he found in the apartment, as well as Atsuko's favorite lighter. He set fire to the room and left quickly. On December 5th, Yamaji was charged with the two murders, and the prosecution accused him of committing the murders for nothing more than pleasure. He confessed to police, "The reason I killed them was because I had a lot of fun, and I couldn't forget when I killed my mother a long time ago. So I decided to kill again, and killed them. The target could have been anyone, not just these two," and he also added, "I wanted to see blood." After killing the girls, he'd had buried the knife in a shrine nearby. The murder weapon, a knife with a blade length of 12 centimeters, was found in a warehouse on the premises of the shrine about 400 meters away from the apartment where the crime was committed. Yukio was charged with double homicide, and the prosecution had a lot of incriminating evidence on him. In May 2006, Yukio pleaded guilty to the murder of the two sisters. The judge felt that if Yukio had felt remorse, or apologized for his crimes, he might have been given a more lenient sentence. Instead, Yukio was executed in 2009, at age 25. He was the youngest person to be executed since 1972, in Japan.